Hello there, Razzle48 here, bringing you an undoubtedly long video, one showcasing my thoughts on the entirety of the roster on Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. Please forgive me, this is the first video I'm going to be using, like, ever, that uses a script, so bear with me if my voice doesn't sound as natural as normal. But anyway, on this list, we're going to go through every character in all 4 included franchises in Blazblue Cross Tag Battle, and I'm going to give every character 2 ratings each. One is preference, which is how much I'd like the character to be in the game from 1 to 5 stars. This is about the same rating that Coefficient used that he got from Maximilian Dude, and now I'm going to be using it here for my own personal list. The second rating that I'm going to give each character is potential, which is how likely I believe the character to make it in the game on the same 1 to 5 star scale, and then I'll give my reasons for grading them as I did. Now, while I do believe that I know a lot about all of these characters, enough to make my potential ratings accurate, I would definitely say I know enough about these characters and these franchises to say that my potential ratings will be accurate. Please do keep in mind that the preference ratings are my opinion. I understand that I disagree with a lot, and I do mean a lot of people when it comes to these characters in the fighting game franchise, when it comes to characters we like and that we dislike, and this was going to be undoubtedly true given that I'm covering about 100 characters in this video. So if you want to say that my tastes are crap and tell me that a character is awesome in the comments that I'm saying I don't like, then feel 100% free to. Now, we got a lot to cover, so let's dive right into it with Blazblue. Blazblue is the representative title franchise of this crossover. It's my absolute favorite series of the 4, and it's the one with the most characters in it, and honestly it's probably the one with the most uncertain lineup for the game. Let's get started. Hrodna the Blood Edge. I give this character a 5 for preference. I've always loved Hrodna as a protagonist, and I give him a 5 for potential as well, as he's already in the game. Blazblue is probably in my top 3 fighting game franchises of all time, and seeing him lead a crossover game is really great. I've always thought that crossover games were the absolute effing greatest. I'm looking so forward to this. Next, Jin Kisaragi. Preference 5. It's no secret that I main this character. He's my favorite character in any of these 4 franchises. Enough said, and his potential is of course 5 as well, given the fact that he is also already in the game. Freeze, frost, chill, scatter, halt. Yeah, you know, Jin. Anyway, Noel. I give the character a 5 for preference. I like Noel. I don't know why people hate her. I really don't. And 5 for potential as well. Another character that is already in the game. Just like Rachel Alucard. I give this character a 5 for preference and a 5 for potential. I love that Rachel is in a simplified game like this, because players like me who could never really learn her in BlazBlue, you all know, Rachel isn't easy to pick up. She's not easy to play. There's very few Rachel players on NetPlay. There's very few Rachel players at locals. I'm glad that she's now in a state when a lot of people who are new to the game or just like the character a lot like me, or she's now in this game where she's simple enough for us to just be able to pick up and play her, and I love that. And we won't have to break our fingers to do wind combos anymore. At least hopefully. Next, we got Towe. I am rating Towe Kaka a 2 for preference and a 3 for potential. I don't really like Towe. In fact, the only reason I'm not rating her as a 1 for my preference is because I think it'd be funny seeing her paired with Blake. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, I think everyone would like that team to be a thing. But I do think she has a decent chance of making it in. She is the mainline BlazBlue comic relief character, more so than Bang. She's also the 5th character to be added to the BlazBlue franchise, and is sort of like a mascot of the series, similar to how Teddy is in reference to the Persona 4 series. In fact, if the character reveals were going by roster order, which honestly up until this point they have, with the exception of Hazama, Towe would be the next BlazBlue character to be revealed. Even though Jin's hint at the end of the last trailer does indicate that 1 week from today, I'm recording this on Friday the 10th, 1 week from today, Hakumen will be the next BlazBlue character revealed. But anyway, factor in all of these points, and despite her lack of both plot relevance and fan popularity, and player base to be honest, like, Towe players are nearing extinct, if you ask me, she does get her 3 stars for potential inclusion. Next, we got Iron Tigger. I rate this character as a 5 for preference and a 3 for potential. I would love for Tigger to be in this game. It'd be hilarious. Like, in a game where everyone can only run? You remember how Unlimited Tigger ran in the previous games? I certainly do. In any case, Tigger will be a load of fun to pair with his fellow grapplers Kanji and Waldstein, and honestly, he's just a fun character to play with in general. Like, when I'm playing Blazblue casually with friends, there's no one I have fun playing with quite like Tigger on that casual level when I'm just having fun. But I honestly can't bring myself to put his potential for the roster any higher than 3 due to his lack of story relevance in addition to the vast number of Blazblue characters who have priority over him on getting into this roster. Despite some, such as Tsubaki, who I'm going to talk about a bit later, being released after him. I do feel like the roster count for this game is going to be at least in double digits. And, hopefully we can expect my personal favorite grappler in any fighting game to date to make it into the game. I would love that. It'd be great. Like, come on, Tigger Waldstein, Tigger Kanji, broken. Next we got Lychee Failing. I rate this character as a 2 for preference and a 1 for potential. I don't really want Lychee to be in this game. I mean, I guess I say I like her as a character, but that's about as far as I'd go. I think stick set play and neutral would be a bit too much for this game, with assists already going to be a factor for literally everyone, like every player. And honestly, aside from the tier whores in Blazblue who play her just to win, and maybe a few people who just like her tits, over all the other tits in Blazblue for some reason, I don't think all that many people want her to be in this game either. Couple all that with her lack of story relevance, she's really only relevant within the Sector 7 subplot, or not even that, within her own Arachne subplot, like honestly, and this character has no reason to make it into the game really. Apart from, of course, her long-standing presence in the Blazblue roster. This character has been around since Calamity Trigger. That's the only reason that this character isn't like a 0 for potential. But I still don't think that alone is enough for her to be considered for a spot on Cross Tag's roster. Arachne, preference 1, potential 1. Please don't put the living splooge in my tag battle, alright? Like, please, can we not have that? Like, just the thought of Arachne and Teddy on the same team makes me sick. You want to do a set play and curse? No. I'll answer that question for you. No, you don't. No one does. No, thank you. Get it out of here. You couldn't give me one reason from any viewpoint as to why this character should make it in. You know what? I'm giving this character a 0 for preference and potential. Like, the only reason I can think of for anyone to tell me this character should make it in is because they main him. And if you main Arachne, your opinion probably doesn't matter anyway. Sorry. Next, Bang Shishigami. Preference 4, potential 3. I like Bang as a character. A lot of people like Bang as a character. Some people like playing Bang. Other people like playing against Bang. He's a fun character to play as. He's a fun character to play against. Bang managed to get his story relevance and his little arc in Chrono Phantasma, but other than that, outside of his little subplot with Lychee and Arachne, he doesn't have all that much. He's been comic relief for about as long as Towe has, and his playstyle, while being unlike Lychee and Arachne, which isn't stupid enough to exclude him from this roster solely based upon, can be kind of fun. It's like the counter concept is pretty fun. It's like he sort of has DPs, but not really. It'd be interesting to see how those get included into the game if Bang is put in. But, like I said, he is another comic relief character, and honestly, I'm not sure if Blazblue's developers would choose to include him in the game over Towe. Towe is much more iconic as a comic relief character. She has a, I think she has a more distinctive, well no, Bang does sort of have a more distinctive move style. But Bang definitely has a much higher amount of fan popularity than her. Still, Bang isn't one of those characters people's mind go to straight when they hear the word Blazblue, so honestly his inclusion in the game is one of the more gray areas of the entire roster, especially considering whether Arc System Works would jump to Towe or Bang to represent Blazblue as the comic relief character is a very iffy position in regards to the roster as well. Next we got Qrow, preference 0. 0. Potential 1. This character would, I don't even need to explain it. This character has an absolute, would have had an absolute 0 on potential for inclusion due to the fact that he hasn't been in the game since Calamity Trigger. That's the only reason I did not rank Arachne as a 0 for inclusion before, even though I changed it to 0. Honestly, Arachne is a 1 for potential because he's one of the original cast. But anyway, this is a character who, I don't even think Qrow mains would want him to be in Cross Tag Battle. And another thing is that for some reason, I've seen tons of Twitter posts begging Arc System Works to give a spot in the roster to Ken and Koromaru. Even though it's one of the most least likely combination of characters to be in the game, think about it. Ken, Koromaru, Qrow, and Nirvana all attacking you at the same time. That is outright terrifying. And on top of that bullcrap, Nirvana's placement in regards to tagging in and tagging out would be really whack. Because Qrow could tag into a character like Yosuke with a lot of movement. Would Qrow tag in with Nirvana next to him? Or would Nirvana be where she was when Qrow tagged out? Or would Nirvana maybe stay on the screen even after Qrow tags out? It'd just be weird. It'd just be really weird. As Joey Wheeler would say, forget about it. Now let's move on to Hakumen. Preference 4. Potential 5. I think Hakumen is a unique character whose inclusion would spice up team compositions in Tag Battle. Just the thought of playing Jin Hakumen sounds effing awesome. I mean, it's 2 Jins on the same team. That's pretty great all by itself. But, I don't think there's another character whose moveset is composed largely of counters in all 3 of these games. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments below, but the entirety of his drive is counter-based, and I don't think there's another character that focused on counters. I honestly would give this character only a 4 on a potential rating, but after hearing Jin address his statement at the end of Chie's reveal trailer to who is undoubtedly Hakumen, I think he's more or less guaranteed to be revealed next Friday at this point. Also, seeing how they dealt with Hazama's dash in his reveal trailer, seeing them do the same to Hakumen would be outright hilarious. Remember Hakumen's unlimited dash? We're going back to those days, boys. Next, New 13. Preference 4. Potential 5. New is Blazblue's representative zoner who has been here since day 1. She'd fit in wonderfully in Tag Battle. I cannot stress that enough. And honestly, being the main antagonist of the first Blazblue game does have its merits when you think about it. She was the main antagonist of the first Blazblue game. There was no Hazama back then, even though some of us may find that hard to believe. Sure, her story relevance has decreased over time, and fighting her is a real pain in the anus, but New as a character has a real sense of personality that the majority of the Blazblue cast just doesn't have, despite her lack of, personality, if that makes any sense. But she's still a trademark character, and unlike characters like Bang, New 13 comes to many players' minds when they think Blazblue. And honestly, if I had to guess, I'd say she's definitely on the horizon to be revealed before 2017 is over. Perhaps in the trailer or 2 after the one this Friday. Next, we got Tsubaki Yayoi. I rate this character as a 5 for both preference and potential. I love Tsubaki as a character. Girls who are all about purity, well, I have a thing for them. That's definitely a thing. But in any case, Tsubaki is a huge part of the Blazblue story. Heck, almost half of Chrono Phantasma's story was dedicated solely to converting her back to the light side of the Force. Am I right? Plus, she pairs well with almost all of the characters already added. She takes orders from Hazama in Continuum Shift. They'd make a good pair. She and Jin are the most iconic couple in BlazBlue. And she and Noel share the most iconic friendship in BlazBlue. I don't know how people don't see it, but in my eyes, Tsubaki is probably the most confirmed character that has yet to be revealed. Like, if I had to put you on the spot, if you all had to tell me, name one character who you think for absolute certain is going to be in Tag Battle from BlazBlue, whose name is not Hakumen, because of the last trailer. Anyway, I would definitely say that that would go to Tsubaki. Next, we got Hazama, preference for potential 5. He's already in the game. As I stated in my Hazama trailer reaction, I've already stated my thoughts on Hazama, so because of that, I'm not going to spend too much time here talking about him, as he's already revealed. But the baseline is, despite this being a matchup I despise, I'm still psyched about having a character who does the role of a villain so well in this game. I think this character is probably the best villain from all 4 franchises. Sorry, Adachi. Next, we got Makoto Nanaya. Preference 1. Potential 2. You want to know a fun fact? This is the first character that I ever played in BlazBlue. Back in Continuum Shift 1. Yeah, I went to an anime convention, I saw the game, I touched Makoto, and I got killed by Jin projectiles. Yeah, it wasn't fun, but it left a huge impression on me. But anyway, I don't like Makoto as a character. Fighting her has never been, honestly, an enjoyable experience either. It's not that the matchup is bad, the fight is simply, I don't know, unenjoyable. In any case, she's another form of comic relief, and both Towe and Bang have higher priority to make it in than Makoto in this regard. The only reason she escapes being a 1 for potential is because both Noel and Tsubaki are going to be in this game, and it's a very iconic trio of friends. And having her pair with them is going to be some, yeah, well, you know, pairings with friends. Makoto would pair really well with Tsubaki and Noel, and also players would have fun pairing her with Blake or Sun, just in case Arc System Works wants to do the Faunus X Beastkin team thing, like potential. But I think that's very unlikely, and honestly, her absence in the game is how I'd prefer it. Next, we got Valkenhayn R. Helsing. 1. 1's all around. 1 for preference, 1 for potential. This character would only make sense on a team with Rachel, and that's it. Maybe Hakumen, if you're really stretching it. But honestly, I think Rachel would look better on a team with RWBY, or with Weiss. Anyway, and you know, I mean, the rose petals with Rachel and RWBY is sort of a high-class thing, and Weiss is a high-class character, Rachel's a high-class character, so even those would make more sense than her and Valkenhayn. But anyway, Valkenhayn doesn't really interact with anyone else in the story besides, like I said, Hakumen and kinda Hazama and Relius, I guess. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for him to be in a tag team game. And honestly, I don't think he'd even be able to switch in and out of wolf form with Cross Tag Battle's control layout. Hazama and Rachel sort of got away with it with their Wind and Ouroboros mechanics, but Valkenhayn, I'm not saying he couldn't, because Arc System Works is crazy, but he doesn't have the plot relevance and association with the BlazBlue name to warrant adapting his playstyle into Cross Tag Battle like Hazama and Rachel did. And honestly, I never understood why people want Valkenhayn anyway. I guess Short Hop Wolf 5A and Wolf Neutral must be really fun because he seems so boring in the story. I'm sorry, Valk, but like, I don't even think your playstyle would be healthy for this game. Better luck next time, pal. Platinum the Trinity. Preference 1. Potential 1. I like Trinity Glassville, but who the heck wants lollies in this game? Like, who wants item characters in this game? Like, we're going to be getting Teddy for certain. Isn't that enough? And besides, I don't know if I could handle Luna's Japanese voice actress in another game, man. I don't know if I could do it. Like, I understand that Trinity Glassfill has story relevance, and I like Glassfill, but as far as I'm concerned, Platinum is and never has been Trinity. Like, Platinum has no story relevance, aside from, you know, Jin's, like, subplot, trying to do things with her in Central Fiction, but she has, like, no story relevance outside of that. She has no connections to, like, other characters in the story, besides being a dick to Hrodna, and, like... Let's see, what else do I even have to say about this character? She has a questionable fanbase size and an outright wonky moveset for potential conversion in this game. Even Valkenhayn would fit better in this game than Platinum. Like, if they put Platinum in this game, honestly, they'd have to put, like, her, like, items to be specials, because Bat would have to be a DP, like, and be on a button to fit, like, the universal mechanics. And, like, if they took away Platinum's item system, wouldn't that be the reason that, taking away the reason that many Platinum players play here in the first place? And besides, I can count the number of people who want her to be in this game on one hand to begin with. Like, no. No, no, no. Just no, no, no. Moo 12. Preference 2. Potential 1. Honestly, I like Moo 12's playstyle. It looks like fun, and honestly, I would bump the preference up to a 3, or maybe even a 4, were it not for the fact that Noel would be essentially taking up 2 character spots on this limited edition roster, or very limited roster, my bad. And, that just wouldn't sit well for me, knowing that there are so many other characters who deserve to be in this game above her alternate form. And no. Jin and Hakumen do not count as the same character. In any case, I don't think that clones, and I put that in quotes because I understand that Moo and Noel have very different playstyles, but I don't think clones are going to be included in Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. And like I said, Noel and Moo play drastically different, yes, but I do think everyone understands what I mean when I say that. Sorry, Moo 12 players, I feel your pain, but this one just ain't gonna happen. Relius Clover. Preference 2. Potential 2. I feel very meh about this character. Seeing his inclusion over other characters would be bitter for me, even though I understand Hazama Relius teams would be tons of fun for all those fans of BlazBlue villains out there. And I understand. We like Hazama Relius. That crap is cool. And he certainly does have a much higher chance of making it in than his son, with Ignis being much easier to adapt into the game's system and mechanics than Nirvana would, but really, guys? Relius Clover? Wouldn't you think that nearly everyone in Calamity Trigger, barring maybe 2 or 3 characters, should get in above him? Like, this would honestly just be a really awkward choice, and one that I don't think anyone wants ridiculously to see anyway. Like, I haven't seen a single person say, I want Relius Clover in Cross Tag, so, yeah. Amane Nishiki, 0-0. I don't think I need to explain this at all. Moving on. Bullet, preference 0. I repeat, 0. Potential 2. I hate Bullet a lot. She's probably my most hated character in the BlazBlue franchise as a character. And on top of being in the top 3 characters that I hate fighting in the game, she would have no chance of making it in if it were not for his fan base. And I do mean 0 chance. But she has a fan base for some reason, despite the fact that she has no relevance in the story outside of her own subplot, in which case no more than 2 or 3 other characters are even remotely involved in. Like, this character is the definition of filler. She's BlazBlue's story filler. The only reason this character doesn't get a 1 or even a 0 for potential is because of her fan base. And yes, before anyone says anything, I understand that she fights very similar to Yang, and that team would be cool. Yes, I get that, but that doesn't matter. Platinum and Teddy both use items, and that doesn't increase Platinum's chances of making it any. Nor does it increase Nora's chances of making it into the game if Lapras made it in, because they both use heavy weapons. Like, honestly, I think Bang would make a much cooler partner for Yang anyway. And not just because Yang Bang sounds like a freaking hilarious team name. Next we got Azrael, preference 2, potential 3. I don't understand why so many people are thinking Azrael has such a high chance of making it into this game. I guess he has the fan base. He has quite a few people who like him as a character, and he definitely has a ton of people who enjoy playing him. Azrael players are definitely abundant. Even though several people have complained about him over his career, he still manages to uphold fan popularity and a high player base. I see Azrael as a character who was invented for 2 reasons. One, as a plot device to deal with the Blazblue Tsubaki subplot, and nothing as they had written themselves into a corner and needed them to write themselves out of it in regards to Tsubaki. The second reason they invented Azrael is just to expand the roster. I think that Amane and Bullet both fall into this category as well. And because of this, he's therefore not associated with the core of Blazblue that much. He's not one of those things that makes Blazblue Blazblue. I don't have a problem with Azrael. And I would prefer it that he'd make it in over Amane and Bullet, but seeing him get in over other characters would be bitter for me. Having said that, if Arc System Works ever had fan polls for characters to be added into the future, like they have talked about having both officially and unofficially, I'd have to say Azrael might actually have the highest chance of making it into the game over any other Blazblue character if they did that. So if you Azrael players want him to be in the game, y'all can go nuts with that. I, meanwhile, will be voting on maybe S or something. Next we got Kagura Mutsuki, preference 3, potential 2. Kagura has a bunch of story relevance that Mori pulled out of his anus, but he has almost no fan base or players. I guess his fan base exists at least, but who plays Kagura? Like maybe 2 people in existence? Had this character be introduced even 1 game earlier, I would have put him as a 4 for potential, but he didn't come in until halfway through the Blazblue series, and despite his deep connections with the story, he arrived just too late to make it into Cross Tag Battle, and unlike Azrael, he doesn't have the fan popularity to make up for it should character polls come in. Having said that, I rate Kagura as a 3 for preference, because I think it'd be pretty cool to get him paired with Qrow or even Adachi. His playstyle is admittedly pretty cool, having hitboxes that can compare and compete with even most Undernight characters. But he is a stance and a charge character in a game where all the motions are being turned into quarter circles. Think about that, Kagura players. Do you really want that? I don't think you do. Next we got Kokonoe, preference 2, potential 2. This is another thing for me. I don't know. Kokonoe, just very similar to Kagura, came too little too late. They tried to increase her story relevance by the time they made her playable, but the Blazblue story was already grounded in the foundation that it laid for itself at that point. And honestly, I think her inclusion in the game was solely because of the fans begging for her to be included in the game, alright? Her popularity, however, seemed to magically disappear as soon as she became playable and started running the tournament scene so thoroughly that she was even banned in some events. I'm not kidding. Look it up. But honestly, I don't think anyone cares about Kokonoe enough, either in the fanbase or among the team of developers, to include her in this game. Next we got Terami, preference 3, potential 1. There's no way this character is going to make it in the game, given Hazama's inclusion. But as much as this is another one of those characters I despise fighting, I do think he'd be cool into Cross Tag. Yeah, I do. Almost anyone who knows me would be baffled by this, because I talk way too often about how much I hate Terami. But when you think about it, him and Hazama are 2 very different characters, both gameplay-wise and story-wise, unlike Noel and Mu. They play differently, they're different characters in the story. Just look at Central Fiction, and he's technically the main antagonist of Blazblue as a whole, and while both him and Hazama being included on the roster would feel sour enough for me to drop my preference of him a rating from 4 would drop my preference rating of him from 4 to 3. I do think it'd be really cool to see the primary bad guy make it in. Next we got Celica a Mercury. Preference 4, potential 2. I love Celica, enough said. Having said that, I think Mori pulled a lot of strings to make her playable in BlazBlue to begin with, so I can't see her easily making it into this game. The only reason she's a 2 for potential and not a 1 is solely because of the fact that her stage was the very first BlazBlue stage to make it into Cross Tag Battle, which strikes me and I think everyone else as rather odd, so who the heck knows. Mori's made it known time and time again that he likes Celica and that he does crazy things, so I guess, but if she's included, you definitely won't hear any complaining from me. Celica Yukiko would be kinda funny. All that healing though. Next we got Lambda 11, 1-0. New 13 exists. That is all. Next we got Hibiki Kohaku. Preference 3, potential 1. Hibiki's really cool. I mean, he's Itachi Uchiha. You gotta love him, right? Plus Blake and Hibiki would be awesome and all. Hibiki Seth would be awesome and all. But this character is Kagura's right-hand man, and even Kagura's inclusion is really sketchy at best. If he ain't making it in, Hibiki won't. And if Kagura does make it in, then Hibiki still won't. Sorry. Next we got 9 the Phantom. Preference 0. 0. Potential 1. I don't dislike 9 as a character, understand that right now, but she's easily my worst matchup in BlazBlue by far, and I do not want her cancerous playstyle reaching into this game. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with it. This character has no means of making it in. It took until BlazBlue's final game itself for her to make it into her own franchise. For all you 9 players out there, don't lose all of your hope, because Cinder has a higher chance of making it in than 9 does, and she gives me the impression that she would play stupidly similar. Next we got Naoto Kurogane. That's right, Kurogane, not Shirogane, because we're dealing with multiple Naotos on this list. Anyway, preference 3, potential 3. Naoto's a cool guy. Even though he's literally Discount Hrodna from the world of light novels. Having said that, his character is likable enough, and his playstyle is neither toxic to fight against, nor boring as crap. Plus, he seems like he'd synergize with so many characters from these franchises, such as Yang, and Hrodna. And even though I'd love to see tons of characters make it in above him, and I'm not really a Naoto fan myself big time, I do give him a 3 for preference. I'm giving him a 3 for potential for the same reason I did so for Azrael. If there are any fan polls for BlazBlue characters to make it in who are not going to be in the game by default, Naoto is the only one who could give Azrael a run for his money. And if they pick more than one character from BlazBlue, there you go. You're gonna get your Naoto in the game. Next we got Izanami. Preference 1, potential 1. Yeah, she's technically the main antagonist from a certain point of view, except not technically the main antagonist, but who honestly thinks Izanami will make it in? Nobody. Her playstyle is cool, but complicated, I guess, and it's not compatible with Cross. I don't think anyone would want to see it, like, see her moveset in Cross. The last thing I want to have to deal with in Cross Tag Battle, like, that doesn't start and end with 9, that is Ribcage. Like, please, no. Let's move on to S. I have a lot to say about S. Preference 5, potential 3. I love S. I want S in this game. Like, S, like, oh my goodness, like, S wears the same dress as Weiss. Like, you gotta love her, but she's a DLC character, so rip. You'd think that a character that was DLC and not even from the BlazBlue world, she's a guest character from X-Blaze, you'd think that a character like that would get a 1 for potential, and it's like, I'd just be putting her as a 3 for potential out of sheer hope, right? Well, actually, I do have some logical reasons why I think this character could make it in. You remember that ETC bar we saw on the character select screen? fans have gone wild, speculating that that bar could be filled with guest characters from other franchises. And while this was just a hopeful rumor at first, the recent Blazblue Cross Tag Battle players survey listed a question at the end asking players what characters they would like to see included in the game from other franchises besides the 4 that are already in, which got its own question asking players who they wanted from those 4. But anyway, it's definitely looking after that survey like there are going to be more characters from other franchises than just BlazBlue, Persona, Under Night, and RWBY. And if that's the case, it makes sense that the other franchises Arc System Works would pull characters from would-be franchises that the company has connections to. And X-Blaze is a prime candidate from that. S is the only character to have already made it into a fighting game from X-Blaze, so I think there is a chance that S will be a singular guest character in the game, not representing BlazBlue, but representing X-Blaze. I'll talk some more about a few other potential singular characters to make it in from other franchises after the RWBY portion of this video, but for now, suffice to say, I would love S to make it in there, and I'm super glad that I have found a reason to realistically hope for that. S Weiss, Poofy Dress Team, let's go. Next, we got Mai Natsumi. Preference 2, Potential 0. Yeah, no. Playing Mai is pretty fun, but she isn't making it in. I don't need to explain this one. Next, we got Jubei. Preference 1, Potential 1. I don't care for Jubei. I mean, he's cool in BlazBlue, but I'd honestly be kind of upset if he made it into tag over, you know, anybody else. Did you see how long it took people begging Arc System Works to get this character in his own franchise's game? Nah, he ain't making it into a crossover. Deal with it. Next, we got Susanoo. Preference 0, Potential 1. This character's huge fan base is the only reason why he doesn't get a 0 in potential. He's a spoiler for BlazBlue. He's a combination of 2 other characters who are already gonna get into this game each. And besides, I hate this character. You can physically feel how plus this man is when he hits you. Just get it out of here. Well, that was a lot. But now we've covered all of the BlazBlue characters to be in this game. If I had to guess, like, 4 characters to be in BlazBlue that have not already been revealed, it would probably be, you know, Hakumen, Tsubaki, New 13, and then maybe Tigger. I think those characters have the highest chance of making it in, and then maybe Azrael and Naoto could win fan polls and make it into the game that way, as maybe DLC after the game comes out, or if the fan polls are done before the game comes out, through that way. But anyway, let's move on to Persona 4 Arena, the second franchise in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, and the franchise that brought many RPG players into the fighting game scene. It's my second favorite franchise on this list, even though it's no secret that I thought Ultimax played like crap, but I do love Persona, and I'm just psyched. I'm just as psyched for this franchise's inclusion as anyone else, I promise you. Let's dive right in. First, we got Narukami, Preference 5, Potential 5, Protagonist. Alright, this man already made it in. I think he was real cool. I always loved his playstyle. He's fun to fight as and against. I have nothing but hype when it comes to this character. Honestly, he may be my favorite protagonist of all 4 franchises gameplay-wise. Him or Hrodna. I don't know. He was real fun. Next, we got Yosuke. Gotta go fast! Preference 4, Potential 5. This is another character who has already made it in. He's not my favorite Persona character, but I've always thought Yosuke was one of the coolest cats in the investigation team, and he is definitely my favorite bro character from the entire Persona series. Even more than Ryuji, and way more than Junpei. And while seeing him fly all over the screen with a glide is annoying, I got all the hype for this character nonetheless. Next we got Chie. Preference 0, Potential 5. This character's already making it in. She's already made it in. Everyone knows how I think about this 9-year-old Anakin Skywalker looking broad. She is my most hated character in the entire Persona franchise. Every time this thing opens her mouth, I want to shut it. Like, honestly, it has nothing to do with fighting her. I've always loved fighting Chie because I found her rush-down playstyle to be predictable and easy to deal with, leading there to be some fun in beating the crap out of her. But darn, I couldn't despise her any less as a character. She already made it in, though, so for better or worse, we're going to have to deal with Persona's Rock Lee, so if you like her, good for you, I guess. Next, we got Yukiko. This is more like it. Preference 5, potential 4. I love Yukiko. And when it comes to character opinions, I've never come across a character that I disagree with more than everyone else in regards to than Yukiko. Except maybe Yukari. Yukari's pretty cool, but everyone hates her guts. Anyway, it's no surprise that I love Yukiko, and she's easily my favorite character from Persona 4. In fact, she's going to be on my main team with Jin. Yes, Jin and Yukiko are going to be my mains in this game. Flame and Ice Tech is going to be so real. Are you kidding me? Ice Stars and Agis on the screen at the same time? I'm going to freak out if this character gets revealed a week from today. Like, absolutely lose my crap. And yeah, I said if this character gets revealed next week, not when. You'd think one of the initial members of the investigation team would be given a 5 for potential, right? Well, while I do think that is what will happen, I'm not 100% sure. Here's why. There are two possibilities for what Arc System Works may do for Persona characters. They're either simply going to release... oh man, I'm sorry. Anyway, they're simply going to release the investigation team like everyone seems to think that they would do. Or they could go the route of Persona 4 arena relevance. If they do this, then unlike if they went the route of Persona 4 relevance, in which case Yukiko will be revealed next week, may even see Mitsuru get revealed next week. Let me explain myself a little better. If they go the route of P4A relevance, Yukiko didn't do squat in Persona 4 Arena's story. It's not a strong possibility because after all, Chie was the third Persona character to make it into the game, and she didn't do crap in Persona 4 Arena's story either. But there is a sliver of a chance that this is the case, and Mitsuru will be the next Persona character to be revealed if they're doing it based on Persona 4 Arena relevance instead of Persona 4 relevance. It would really suck for me if they went the P4A route. I like Mitsuru, but please don't make it into the game over Yukiko. If the next character revealed is not Yukiko, I'm going to be really, really sad that they're going the Persona 4 Arena route and not give us a character like, and end up not giving us a character like, I don't know, Kanji. Preference 4, potential 5. As Persona's signature grappler, I feel as though Kanji is going to make it into this game whether they go the P4A route or the P4 route. He certainly has a much higher chance than Tigger, if you ask me, which, by the way, would be the greatest grappler team ever, Tigger and Kanji. Even though Waldstein's pretty big, he just doesn't compare to Tigger, man. He just doesn't. Anyway, Kanji's great. Even though fighting a grappler with movement and tools like Kanji is a real nightmare. This man has a full screen dive, and he has, like, projectiles, like he has lightning, like it's obnoxious. But despite that, I'm really excited to see him in his reveal trailer and grab some RWBY girls. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to say that. It'll be funny seeing Kanji do that. Anyway, Naoto Shirogane. Kurogane. Preference 2, potential 4. I've never really cared for this Naoto. I mean, if she makes it in, which she probably will, then that's cool, and I don't have anything against that. But I'd honestly not be that stoked about it. I don't have much else to say on this one other than it'll be interesting to say how they incorporate her fate counters in for her supers. Like, how would Hamayon and Mudon work? I think that she definitely needs some reworking if she's to be in this game. Next we got Teddy, preference 3, potential 5. Teddy's obnoxious, both to fight and as a character, but playing as him, even when you have no idea what you're doing, can be fun. And for that reason, exclusively, he gets a 3 for my preference. He is undoubtedly going to be in this game no matter what, given the fact that he's the Persona 4 mascot, the darn position has more or less already assured his inclusion. But honestly, as long as Arachne doesn't make it in and we don't have to deal with Curse and Rage on the same team, and yes, I know that they're taking out status effects from the persona, but still, I'm making a point here. You won't really hear me complain about Teddy. Like, as long as Arachne keeps his gumpy anus out of this game. Next we got Mitsuru. Preference 4, potential 3. I don't really care for Mitsuru as a character, but not only is she fun to play both as against, she'd also pair so well with characters like Weiss, Jin, Orie. I couldn't help but bump her up from a 3 to a 4 in the preference department. If there's any Persona 3 character to make it into this game, it will be Mitsuru. People seem to think that it may be Aigis for some reason. No, Mitsuru is the leader of the Shadow Operatives. Mitsuru led the Persona 3 portion of P4A's story. Like, you can take that to the bank right now. After the investigation team, whether they'll opt for Mitsuru or P4A characters like Sho Minazuki or Lapras, or maybe even P4 characters that wouldn't make it into the initial roster like Rise or Adachi is anybody's guess. But I do hope that we can at least see this one Persona 3 character make it into Cross Tag. Even though Mitsuru characters themselves may complain a bit due to the fact that her charge motions are going to be turned into quarter circles. Next we got Akihiko. Preference 2, potential 1. I don't care about this character at all. And if it wasn't for him being a cool pair with Mitsuru due to being the one true OTP, and maybe being a cool pairing for, you know, Bang, Chie, Yang, close combat characters, if it wasn't for those, he'd probably just be a 1 for preference, just like potential. Of all of the characters in the initial roster of the first Persona 4 arena, this character is in the bottom 3 characters most likely to make it into Cross Tag Battle. And honestly, he's so boring that I don't give a crap outside of his like tag partner compatibility. Nothing to see here, folks. Next we got Aigis. Preference 3, potential 2. Fun fact, this is the first Persona 4 arena character that I tried to play. And I'm glad I didn't end up doing that, because this character's chances of making it into this game are slim at best. While she is probably in the top 3 Persona 3 characters who would make it in, that's not saying much when put next to the abundance of Persona 4 character inclusion possibilities. Seeing her in this game would be a pleasant sight for me though. I know pairing her with Penny would be sensational, but no one should get their hopes up for this character. This is one thing we're just gonna have to let go. But hey, for all you Toaster fans out there, at least her sister could very well make it in, right? And speaking of, let's talk about Lapras. Preference 3, potential 4. I hate Lapras. A lot. Like a lot. This character is my most hated character in any fighting game to date. So, why don't I rate her as a 0 for preference? Because this game has Jin. And I'll finally be able to fight my arch nemesis on my own terms with my true fighting game main. There's nothing more exciting than a battle like that. Anyway, P4A's story centered almost entirely around this character, and I think regardless of the route that they take, she's going to make it in. If they go the P4 route, then she's probably the first character who's going to make it in after the investigation team. And honestly, I would prefer Minazuki, Mitsuru, or even Adachi over Lapras, but what can you do? Next we got Shadow Lapras. Preference 1, potential 0. Nope. Everybody knows nope on this one. Asterius and Cross Tag? Nope. Elizabeth. Preference 1, potential 1. I don't care about Elizabeth, and her inclusion in Persona 4 Arena itself felt really tacked on, honestly. I never liked her as a character or in terms of playstyle, and I don't even feel comfortable bumping her up as a 2 for potential if there are fan polls, because there's no way she's beating Adachi or even Ken. And speaking of Ken, we're going to get to him in a minute, but first we got to talk about Yukari. Preference 4, potential 1. I like Yukari. She's probably my favorite Persona 3 character who is not named Chihiro. But this character won't make it in despite the fact that Having a Triss dressed as a Power Ranger in this crossover game would be absolutely amazing. She's not going to make it in. Yukiko will be the one representing Persona 4 Arena in the zoning department long before Yukari ever gets close to the development team. And while I'd prefer it that way, man, darn. Anyway, Junpei. Preference 1. Potential 1. No. Just no. Every Persona 3 character in Ultimax has a higher chance of making it in than Junpei. And thank God for that. Sho and Minazuki. And yes, I'm grouping these two characters together. Preference 4, potential 3. I think these characters are... screw it. He is a real cool guy. He's the main antagonist of the Persona 4 Arena franchise line, but having said that, he wasn't even in the first game for some reason. Granted, Azama wasn't in the first BlazBlue either, but with Adachi being quite the competition to make it in representing a villain from the Persona 4 franchise, nothing is looking certain for Sho. And yeah, if I had to pick one, which I think they'd include, I think it would be Minazuki. He's the actual protagonist with the more interesting and fun play style. Plus, I don't think Sho should represent Persona. He doesn't have a Persona. He plays like he's a BlazBlue character. And yes, I know this is a BlazBlue game, but he's not representing BlazBlue. He's representing Persona. So put in Minazuki, the one with a Persona, who plays like he's from Persona. Like, God knows I would love to see Minazuki in the game because he's fun as crap. But if they put Sho in over him, I may flip a table. Next, we got Ken and Koromaru. Preference 2, potential 3. You won't ever catch me saying Ken isn't a cool guy. Both him and Koromaru never left my Persona 3 team back when I played it, right up there with Yukari. But darn, if this game does not need Ken, like Ken, his dog, their personas, their tag partner, all being on the screen pressuring at once it sounds like AIDS. It's AIDS. Don't do it. This would normally be a character you'd never see me rate higher than a 1 for potential. But go to Twitter. Go to Twitter. Follow BlazBlue Tag. Like, people are rooting for this character like more than any other Persona 4 Arena characters, except for maybe Yukiko, because like Yukiko has quite the player base following. And I think that's a good sign for me. But really? Ken? People are voting for Ken? I would never have guessed this. Like, I never would have thought that people would be voting for Ken. But this character, surprisingly, has great possibility to win a fan poll. And if he does, oh baby, this game's gonna be something else. Next, we got Rise. Preference 2, potential 2. Rise is my second favorite girl from Persona 4, but her character in Arena is like a completely different person. Heck, her persona evolved, so maybe that means her heart changed too, right? Maybe that's why? But anyway, the Rise that I fight in P4A has no association with the Rise who taught me how to dance all night in P4D as far as I'm concerned. I have no remorse for Persona 4 Arena Rise. Except I guess I do, because I rated her as a 2 for a preference instead of a 1. But anyway, this is the only member of the investigation team that I'm rating this low for potential, and you all know why. As many strings as pulled were for this character to make it into Ultimax, just like they were for Celica, which, by the way, Celica Rise would be a stupid team, and let's not have that. But having this character included over Mitsuru or Minazuki or even Lapras, who you all know I hate, would be absolutely ridiculous in my eyes. I don't know if Rise has fans like that in real life, but I'm sorry, you ain't beaten Ken's Twitter fan base or Adachi in general, like in these fan polls. But it's not hopeless. I mean, they may add Rise just to have the full investigation team. If they put like more than 10 total Persona characters in the game, who knows? Anyway, Adachi himself is rated as a 5 for preference and a 3 for potential. You thought with how much I've been talking up Adachi, he'd be higher than a 3 for potential, right? Well, yeah, If there's fan polls, he's going to win hands down, but he couldn't even make it into the main roster of his own franchise's game. Twice! He was DLC in the last one, and while he is the most likely DLC character from any of these franchises to make it into the game, that is not saying much. This one is entirely riding on the fans. If they don't vote him in, Minazuki would be more than happy to step up and take his place representing Persona 4 Arena as the villain. But I think everyone and their mom would rather have Adachi. Like, even though his 2D is cancer, like, personified. No pun intended. Come on, Adachi. Pairing you with Hazama and Roman is everyone's dream. Don't let us down, you dick. Next we got Marie. Preference 3, potential 0. Fun fact, Marie was my first crush in Persona 4, but yeah, no, she's not making it in. No matter what. I'm sorry. Next we got Margaret. Preference 2, potential 1. Margaret's... okay, this is one of those characters nobody likes to fight, but is she really gonna make it in over any other character? No. Not in any way, aspect, or regard. Never. Now that was a lot to talk about Persona 4 Arena. And if I had to guess for like maybe, I don't know, what do we got? 3 currently revealed Persona characters? If I had to guess 6 more, I'd say that they would be Yukiko, Kanji, Naoto, Teddy, and then maybe Lapras and Mitsuru. If I had to like guess if they went the Persona 4 route. And if they go Persona 4 Arena route, I don't even want to talk about that because I don't want it to happen. And I don't want to send those vibes out to the universe that might happen. Let's not do that, okay? But yeah, that's it for Persona. If I had to guess for 2 characters to win the fan polls, as I'm sure you'd guess already, I'd think it would be Adachi and Kin. Now, let's move on to Under Night and Birth. Okay, Under Night in Birth. EX Latest is what I believe to be now French-bred's signature franchise, even over Melty Blood. This fighting game is the franchise in BB Tag that I know the least about. I spent some time with the original back on the PS3, and I'm planning to refresh my knowledge by diving in headfirst into Latest as soon as it gets its American port. But despite my limited knowledge of the game, I do believe that I know everything about the roster to make all the correct decisions for the list, both for preference and for potential. Let's check it out. First, we got Hyde. Preference 4, potential 5. Hyde is already in the game. While I don't like Hyde as much as Hrodna or Narukami, he's a cool guy, and honestly, he has the most unique playstyle among the 3. I'm just like everyone else in that I'm shocked that Under Night and Birth was chosen to represent its franchise in Blazblue Tag over Guilty Gear, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. I'm hyped for Hyde and all his Under Night and Birth buddies. Speaking of, let's go to Lynn. Preference 2, potential 5. She's already in, and honestly, I forgot this character existed. I know she's a main character and all, but she's so forgettable to me. I don't know. Maybe she'll leave more of an impression when I play Latest's story mode. Waldstein, preference 3, potential 5. This man's already in the game too. While he is my least favorite grappler among the 3 fighting game franchises in the game, I do think he's cool and I'm happy he made it in, even if for nothing else than for players to turn off their PS4s when they pick Tigger Waldstein. That crap's hilarious. Next we got Carmine. Or Carmine, or however you want to pronounce his darn name. Preference 1, potential 5. I really don't like Carmine. I hated fighting this character, but I do know that he's going to make it in. In fact, I bet money that he's going to be the next Under Night character revealed, probably a week from today, this upcoming Friday. Next we got RWBY. Preference 5, potential 5. I love this character. I love her design. She's like Weiss and Mitsuru in the fact that she has a persona-like thing in Unio. Well, yeah, she's like Weiss and Mitsuru in that sense because Weiss has summons even though I don't believe they're going to be included in this game, and Mitsuru has a persona and RWBY has a thing like that. And these characters all dress the same way. Like Mitsuru's amazing outfit and Weiss's amazing outfit and RWBY's amazing outfit. They have amazing outfits. And she's also been given a distinct playstyle that wasn't present anywhere else in Under Night. These rapier characters all seem to be amazing choices for this game. They're all just so cool and they pair so well with one another. Even though I never really had time to dabble with Orie in Under Night and Birth, she may actually be the Under Night character I'm hypest for, and I'd love to see a second chance to try her out in Cross Tag. Can't wait for her reveal trailer. That day will be a good day, and honestly, I think it's going to be before the year is over as well, just like with, who did I say? Tsubaki? Yeah, just like Tsubaki. Or New 13. Yeah, New 13 is the one I was talking about. Before the end of the year, New 13, Orie, revealed. Take that to the bank. You can get that in writing. Next we got Gordeo. Gordeo? The Scythe guy. Preference 3. Potential 5. Yeah, you all knew this was coming. This character has players everywhere. I never cared for him really. But there's going to be so many cool scythes in Cross Tag that even someone who despised fighting this character like everyone else, like me, can't help but welcome him open-armed into Cross Tag Battle. Merkava, Preference 2, Potential 3. I don't know why people think that this awakened Evangelion is going to be in the game, but I'm even more confused as to why they want him. Like, people like this character? I don't understand. I mean, the design is cool, I guess, but other than that, it's a gray area for his inclusion. Don't get your hopes up too high, but don't count him out either. He's probably the most gray area for Under Night. Next we got Vitesse. Preference 1, Potential 2. This is another character I forgot existed completely. I've not heard a single person voice interest in this character making it in. Okay, maybe I've heard one. And one person voice it. More than Relius. You can at least say that much. But I can't see why people would, really. Not much to say. I don't really have anything else to say about this character. Nothing much here. Next, we got Seth. Preference 3, Potential 4th. Seth's pretty cool because he's a ninja, and ninjas are cool. I think he'd make a cool partner to Yosuke, and Seth Bang sounds like it'd make a really funny mashup in my head to see those two characters interacting with each other. In any case, this character is real relevant to the Under Night story. He's probably 8th on the priority list for the series to make it into the game, I think. I think it's really safe to say Seth's going to make it in, even if it won't be for farther down the line in terms of revealed trailers. Yuzuria, Preference 5, Potential 3. This is one of Under Night's gray area characters as well, just like Merkava, but she was the character that I mained in Uniel, and I freaking loved her. Like, they definitely need to work on her some to include her in this game. She has some really stupid hitboxes from what I know, almost as stupid as Gordeo's, and her teleport reminds me strikingly of Minazuki's, and for a character with her hitboxes, that's not a real healthy thing. It almost makes me want to bump her down to a 4 for preference just because of how stupid her moveset is, but come on, she's my main. I gotta give her a 5. I like her. She has like a jacket over her arms like Kanji, and she uses a katana like Jin, and it's long as crap. She has a Zangief, but better. Like, come on. In the potential department, though, there are tons of characters who need to make it in before her. So, again, she's a real iffy one, but certainly one that I can safely say that there is at least hope for. Next, we got Hilda. Potential 4, Preference 5. I was going to give her a 3 for preference, but she matches up so well with New 13 in terms of playstyle that I just had to give her a 4. And besides, honestly, we need this character representing Uniel as a villain, which she will be doing, no questions asked. This character is making it in for absolute certain. She is to Under Night as Hazama is to Blazblue, so count on it. Hazama isn't a zoner though, so it'll be real silly to see her paired with newer, even Yukiko, maybe Penny if things play out right and she gets turned into a zoner just like her source of inspiration, Miss 13, but we'll see. Next we got Chaos. Chaos? Who is this character? I don't remember. Oh, that guy. Yeah. Preference 1, Potential 1. Yeah. I completely forget that this character exists 100% of the time. In fact, I'm sure as soon as I'm done making this video, there's no character I'm going to forget about faster than Chaos. From what I understand, he's Under Knight's equivalent to Qrow, and I think we've already established sort of an understood rule that puppet characters are not going to mix well in this game. I know a small number of people like this character, which I may be able to understand if I knew who the heck he was, but the first Under Knight didn't have a story, I don't think. And just from having played the game and not experienced the story yet, I mean, I still believe my ratings are accurate, but this character's forgettable as crap. Anyway, Nanase, preference 2, potential 2. The only thing I really know about Nanase is that everyone hates her song for some reason. I don't know, I really liked it. I even made it the deck editing theme for my Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro for a while. But honestly, this character is just bland. Like, this character feels in every way like a stereotype, both in terms of a character and in terms of playstyle. I think she has some chance of making it in because judging from some of the Under Knight promotional posters, she has a somewhat significant role in the story. I don't know, maybe. But there are so many other characters, even in Under Knight, with the smallest roster of all 4 franchises, who are going to make it in before her. Next we got Byakuya, preference 1, potential 1. We already have Narukami taking up 1 spot in this game's roster. We don't need him taking another, even with that devious smile. Enough said. And I know that my whole description about this character was a joke, but that's what this character is to me, a joke. Like, who wants Byakuya, honestly? Akatsuki, preference 1, potential 2. Of all the guest characters in these franchises who have a chance to make it in representing their origin franchises, I think Akatsuki has the lowest chance. Most players don't know what game he's from at all, and I'm one of them. And unlike Eltnum, who we're about to get to, and S, who I've already talked about, this character, this character's franchise isn't really notable in regards to Arc System Works, unlike X-Blaze and Melty Blood are. Like, I know Melty Blood is an Arc System game, but they have connections to Friends Bread, so you know what I mean. Still, he has some potential to make it in representing whatever the heck he's from, but he's just a generic fist-using character. Something that's been done better by Naoto, Bang, Yang, heck, even Akihiko would be a better addition to the roster than this guy. Like I said, he has a chance, but I honestly hope he doesn't make it in. He may be the most boring character I talk about in this video. Next we got Eltnum. Preference 4, potential 3. A lot of people like Eltnum, and she has the biggest chance of anyone from Melty Blood making it in to represent Melty Blood in Cross Tag, as she already has a connection to Under Night and Birth, a franchise which is in Cross Tag. I don't say this often because I don't think that this is a real reason why a character should be included, but I think that she would bring diversity to Blazblue Cross Tag Battle's cast, and in a good way, as opposed to a stupid one, like, you know, Arachne. And I'm just going to go ahead and group all 4 characters introduced in Under Night and Birth latest as one, and say that they all have a mere 1 potential to make it in, with being nothing more than expansions to the roster for the updated latest version of the game. And I can't rate any of these characters accurately in terms of preference, because I don't know the first thing about any of them. I haven't played latest yet. But I do think it's safe to say that these characters are very comparable to the Persona characters introduced in Ultimax, which I don't think I need to remind you have quite low chance of making it in themselves. But that does it for Under Night. If I had to guess like 6 more characters or to make it in from Under Night, it would be like, I don't know, Carmen, Hilda, Gordo, Orie, Seth, Hilda, Yuzu, maybe? Merkava? I don't know. This franchise doesn't have that much characters in it, to be, like, honestly, like, I don't know. Maybe Eltnum, due to her popularity, will make it in representing Unil, even though she's a Melty Blood character. I don't know. Under Night has a small cast. Like, really, it does. So, for Under Night in particular, we may see some pretty whack character choices, just due to the fact that there is a very limited, supply of choices for Arc System Works to choose from. But anyway, that's all I got for Undenied. Let's proceed on, finally, to RWBY, the last franchise in Blazblue Cross Tag Battle, and the franchise that put Rooster Teeth in the glorified position it's in now. Now, before we dive into this, there's a few things that I need to ground for you in regards to this character list. I just watched the entirety of RWBY for the first time a few weeks ago, and there's two things that I want to be made very clear about these characters in regards to grading their potential. For one, we see RWBY and Weiss in Cross Tag Battle using their pre-Season 4 clothing, which means it's safe to say that Cross Tag will only be taking into consideration things before Season 4. So I'm sorry, Scorpion Man, but you'll have to wait until Cross Tag Battle 2 or something. For this reason, I won't be listing any characters exclusive to Season 4 onwards on this list, as you can consider them all zeros for potential. The second thing you need to note is that, before I say this, warning, spoilers for RWBY ahead. If you don't want to be spoiled on RWBY, you can skip to the fifth and final short section of this video. But you should probably go ahead and do that now. Alright, you still here? Good. Now the second thing that I need to talk about in reference to grading these characters' potential is that we're not taking into consideration anything that happened during Season 3's climax. And I think you can all understand why. A character loses an arm and another 3 characters die. And those 3 characters have very, very high chances of making it into Cross Tag Battle. For these reasons, I don't think they'll be taking Season 3's climax finale, whatever you want to call it, into consideration. And by Season 3's finale, I mean Penny's death and everything afterwards. And for this reason, characters that we see fight for the first time in the franchise, like Velvet and Adam, will be considered zeros for potential as well. And yes, I know Adam fought in Blake's character trailer, but that's a trailer. You're not going to include a character because of a trailer. Anyway, if you don't see a character featured on this list, chances are they're probably either a minor side character with absolutely no chance to be considered for Cross Tag Battle, a character that is in Season 4 onwards, or a character we just don't see fight until after Penny's death. Like the mustache guy. Or Coco. Sorry guys. Those characters are just have minor side character roles. But anyway, now that I've gotten all that out of the way, Ruby Rose. Preference 5. Potential 5. She's already in the game. I hated this character before I watched her show, but she's kind of grown on me, and she has some of the best potential cool pair-ups for this game as far as team comp is concerned. I guess characters with scythes are just like that, especially when grouped together. Next we got Weiss. Preference 5. Potential 5. This is the only other RWBY character who has currently already made it in the game. Not reference, what am I talking about? Weiss has almost as good pair-ups as RWBY because, as I mentioned when talking about Orie, rapier characters, just like Scythe characters, are effing sick. She's not my favorite girl in RWBY, but judging from her trailer, her gameplay is going to be absolutely sick. She's just so stylish. Her clothing, for example. I've mentioned this already, but Mitsuru, Weiss clothing, oh man, I want to see that team in this game. Next we got Blake. Preference 4, potential 5. Blake is probably my least favorite girl on Team RWBY. She is, for a lot of people, as being, as what I believe Coefficient said best, the Sasuke of the show. No offense to Sasuke, of course. Sasuke's a cool guy. But I do think her playstyle will be the most interesting of the entire team, though. She reminds me a lot of Eltnum in a lot of ways, with, you know, that weapon of hers she has. I don't know what it's called. But, all of the characters from these 3 fighting games, Eltnum does seem to be the closest in regards to Blake's fighting style. In any case, seeing her interact with Teddy and Towe would simply be an enjoyable, quirky experience for, RWBY fans who also are, Blazblue fans, like myself. Next, we got Yang. Preference 4, potential 5. I like Yang. I don't know why, but I can't bring myself to love her, though. And that, coupled with the fact that her fighting style is just another bland fist user, makes me unable to put her as a 5 for preference. But I do admit that out of all of the fist style characters, Yang is probably the best. She's Bullet if Bullet was done well, and has a lot of good pair-ups with other characters. Like, as I already mentioned, Yang Bang, Bang Yang, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be the best team name in the whole game. It's going to be amazing. Besides, her semblance looks like it could be a really cool character-specific game mechanic, and I look forward to seeing how it's implemented. Next we got Jaune. Preference 3, potential 4. Jaune is different. Well, at least when it comes to RWBY characters. People make the arguments that he can't fight well, and for that reason he doesn't have a high chance of making it in, but I must say I strongly disagree. He is the main male character of RWBY, and his playstyle could honestly be considered more Shota-ish than RWBY. Like, his character is comparable to, like, Hrodna or Hyde or Narukami. Like, this character is literally Link from Smash Bros. They could crank out a moveset for this man, no problem. And even if they can't, which there's no way they can't because their arc system works, he could, if worst comes to worst, be the joke character of this game. Regardless, I definitely think this character is going to make it in, one way or another. Next we got Pyrrha. Preference 5, potential 5. Everybody loves Pyrrha, and this character has some of the highest character relevance in Seasons 1 through 3 out of anybody who's not in Team RWBY, and her moveset looks like it could be godlike, with any of several directions that Arc System Works has in which they could take it. Pairing this character with Jaune would be cute. I mean, honestly, it's like pairing Jin with Tsubaki, or like pairing Kanji with Naoto. Like, you all know why. But speaking of Tsubaki, I want to see Pyrrha paired with Tsubaki. I mean, they're the same character. They're both in a relationship with the main male character of the franchise. And yeah, I realize that I called Jin the main male character of Blazblue, but like, come on, he kind of is in a way. And anyway, she uses the exact same spear and shield like as Tsubaki does. Like, even their hair is the same. That shade of red is not natural. These two characters are related somehow. Pyrrha Tsubaki. I honestly think Pyrrha Tsubaki will be a really, really cool team. Next we got Nora. Preference 3, potential 3. Can I give this character a 2.5 for potential, please? I don't know, it's weird. This character never fights on her own, and like, her backstory isn't even revealed until Season 4, which, as I said, we aren't taking into consideration. I don't really care for these heavy weapon characters, and I'm looking at Lapras when I say this, but I know that people love Nora, and I can see why. She has some funny moments in the show and is likable as a character, but she doesn't become prominent until Season 4, and for that reason she doesn't have potential to make it into this game, really. Like, I'm sorry, she just she just doesn't have any relevance in terms of the consideration, like, in terms of what they're considering characters for Cross Tag to be. Like, his character is only seen in team fights pre-Season 4. I'm sorry, Nora. Like, I definitely like you more than Lapras, but I really don't think she'll be in the game. Next we got Rin. Preference 2, potential 2. Rin is a cool ninja. And that's about all that can be said about this man pre-Season 4. He's comparable to Seth in a way, but I don't know Seth's story, so Seth at least has that going for him, that I don't know his story. Rin's I do. Rin never fights on his own, and he, like, would only ever be included into this game if Nora was. And Nora, as I've already stated, is questionable. He has a sliver of hope if Nora makes it in, if Arxis wants to include the entirety of Team Juniper, but I don't think they will. Besides, I think Yosuke and Seth and potentially Bang, the ninja archetype is already pretty filled up with this game. Sorry, Rin. Next we got Roman. Preference 5, potential 5. This man is styling. I want this man in the game. He's going to pair better with Hazama than even Adachi would. And thankfully I'm going to get my wish, because even though Cinder was technically the main villain of Seasons 1 through 3, Roman was the most iconic and the one that everyone saw, and the one that saw the most action. In fact, I dare say he fought more in the first 3 seasons than any other character. And, like, if you don't take into consideration team battles, then he definitely did for certain. If someone didn't see Season 4 or onward of RWBY, when someone said RWBY villain, unless they're very thirsty for Cinder, Roman would probably be the one that pops into their head. As far as I'm concerned, this character is confirmed. Next we got Cinder. Preference 3, potential 2. Cinder is to me. I mean, she's pretty nice. I might even have put her as a 4 for preference if she didn't remind me in an uncanny way of 9. And that is one moveset I really don't want to have to deal with in Cross Tag. Anyway, yeah, she's technically the main villain, but think about it. This character fights 3 times in Season 1 through 3. Once against RWBY, which could barely be considered a fight at all. It lasted, what, 2 seconds? Anyway, that. And then once as a team against the Fall Maiden, in which she fought the least out of the whole team, if I remember correctly. And then finally, at the end of Season 3, which we aren't taking into consideration because it's the end of Season 3. Anyway, the end of Season 3 is when Cinder got most of her power, and so if they were going to put Cinder in this game, she'd have to be with only half of the Fall Maiden's powers, which would be a really awkward concept to Arc System Works to deal with, given that the only time we see her fight with half of the power is that 2-second scene against RWBY. Like, that's not enough to make a fighting game character out of. That's not nearly enough. And honestly, there are 2 more RWBY characters. No, let me rephrase that. There are 2 more RWBY villains who are not Roman who I think could make it in instead of her. Let's check out one of them now, Mercury. Mercury is a 2 for preference and a 3 for potential. I don't care for this character much other than the fact that his footwork is pretty darn fancy. And that's neat, but people want this character and I don't know why. Like, do people like characters that kick? Is that it? He kicks pretty cool, but that's it. That's all he has going for him. Anyway, this character is probably in the top 3 most popular RWBY characters who are not going to make it into the game by default. And we'll talk about the other 2 here in a bit. But this character has a chance of winning the fan polls. And I guess he has quite a few scenes, so Arc System Works does have material to make a moveset out of. But the thing is about those, I don't think most of them are valid. I mean, 2 of them were team fights, 1 of them he forfeited, and 1 of them he lost on purpose. I don't know, I just don't want this character to be in the game over, like, other characters, but other people do, so 3 for potential, I guess. It's the same reason I rated Nora as a 3 for potential, honestly, mainly just fan popularity. Next we got Emerald. Preference 1, potential 1. Yeah, I don't care about this character at all. I mean, sue me. It's like her fights are like all team fights. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second. I'm back. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Emerald. Yeah. Emerald never fights once in the whole show on her own. I think they're all team fights. And of all the villains in seasons 1 through 3, she definitely has the least likelihood of making it in. Well, you know, besides Adam. And, Adam's fight in Season 3 was mostly all off screen, so it's not hard to be, to have more potential than him to make it into the game. Sorry. But yeah, Emerald, nope, not gonna be in. Sorry about that. Neo, preference 5, potential 3. This is my favorite RWBY girl. She also never says a word in the whole show, so people can't complain about the lack of dub, right? Anyway, this character is up there with Mercury in terms of top 3 RWBY characters not going to make it into the game by default. Even though neither of these characters are number 1, and I think you all already know who is. But anyway, I love Neo. A ton of people love Neo. Her fight scenes are absolutely spectacular. Neo Rachel would be fancy as crap. Man, I hope this character gets voted in. I really do. Let's make it happen, please. If I see Mercury get voted in over Neo, I think I may cry. Please, guys, don't make me cry. Next, we got Sun. Preference 3, potential 4. I don't care much for Sun as a character, but he has a godlike weapon, and what I believe is to be the most unanimously agreed upon best fight sequence in all of RWBY. And you all know the one I'm talking about. Anyway, this character has been relevant and fighting since Season 1. And is probably the character that pairs with Blake most logically in the franchise overall. And not just because they're a couple. Like, they fight together a lot. More so than Blake does with her own darn team. I think Sun's gonna make it into the base roster for sure. Next we got Neptune. Preference 1, potential 0. It's Neptune. He has blue hair. That's pretty cool. And a pretty cool weapon. Which we only see him briefly taken out. Let alone activate. Neptune's not going to be in the darn game. Next we got Penny. Preference 4, potential 4. Penny left quite an impression the 2 times that she fought in RWBY. Yeah, it's obvious that the character was directly inspired by New 13, but New 13's inclusion does not make this character's chance of making it in decrease whatsoever. She'd pair very well with New, and while having a similar fighting style, could be given moves with very different properties from her Blazblue counterpart. Penny is an oddball character in RWBY. The only main character that I can think of off the top of my head that isn't associated with a team or any fighting partner at all. I feel she's an icon of the first 3 seasons and has quite a good chance of making it in. Honestly, Penny, Jaune, and Sun would all be rated 5s for potential if it wasn't for the fact that RWBY has never been looked at from a fighting game perspective before, and what goes on through Arc System Works' head when looking at this franchise is probably the least guessable out of all 4 franchises. In fact, it is, for sure. But I'd bet money that these characters are all going to make it in, all 3 of them. Next, and finally, for RWBY, we have Qrow. Preference 5, potential 3. Yeah, this is everybody's favorite RWBY character. I mean, he's so cool! That's a quote from, you know, everybody who's seen RWBY ever. And everybody wants him in. So why does he only get a 3 for potential? Well, think about it. He isn't even introduced until Season 3. And there he only has 1 fight. 1! And it's against Winter, who may be the least relevant character to have a fight by herself in all of Seasons 1 through 3 outside of team fights. Except for that bully guy who fought Jaune in Season 1, but we don't talk about him. In any case, he wasn't taking that fight against Winter seriously at all. Like, we didn't see him serious until Season 4, which again is not being taken into consideration. Honestly, I'd put Qrow at a 2 or even a 1 for potential, if not for the fact that he is the most popular character in RWBY, and all of the fans will be voting for him to get in. Heck, he and Adachi might be competitors for the most voted characters in all 4 franchises combined. If the fans have any say in the roster whatsoever, then Arc System Works will have no choice but to make Qrow happen, and that's a day I can't wait for. Well, that was a mouthful, but we aren't quite done yet. There's one other portion of the roster left to talk about, the ETC section. I mentioned this during my talk about S, I think, but let's sum it up for you. The ETC section was merely speculated to be a portion of the roster dedicated to singular guest characters from other franchises until the BB Tag survey came out, on which there was a question asking people who've played the game who they want from other franchise besides the current 4 currently in the game to be in. And this more or less confirms the rumor that this wasn't for DLC, this wasn't like for overflowing characters from the 4 franchises. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the realistic characters that we can expect from this portion. And yeah, I said realistic. I'm only covering characters that I think could make it in. So keep your Dante from Devil May Cry nonsense out of here. Don't expect these characters to be rated highly for potential, as this entire guest character thing is itself a gray area right now. I'm telling you right now that they're all going to be 3 out of 5 or lower in that regard. Basically, the main rule for characters included here is that they're characters of franchises that Arc System Works either owns or has direct connections to. Also, I've already talked about S, Eltnum, and Akatsuki, so they're not going to be talked about for a second time in this portion. But do know that they are regarded in the same way that the following few characters are. I'm not going to talk about many, but with further ado, let's begin. For one, we got Soul Bad Guy. Preference 5, potential 3. Yeah, you all knew this was coming. If Arc System Works had a character that represented their entire company, it would be Soul Bad Guy. And as much as I prefer Blazblue to Guilty Gear, I'd love Soul to be in this game. Getting paired with Hrodna, getting paired against Hrodna, it's what everyone has wanted since Blazblue's creation. If there is any singular guest character to make it into this game, it's going to be Soul Bad Guy. His sprites are already made too, they can just pull him straight from Accent Core Plus. The day this man gets revealed is the day that the aliens are going to hear our screams of hype and for the potential of future guest characters. If the day Soul Bad Guy gets revealed is going to be a good day for humanity. Next we got Kai Kisuke. Preference 5, potential 2. This man doesn't have as high of a chance of making it in as Soul does. Heck, if Soul doesn't make it in, then there's no way Kai will, but Soul and Kai are a very recognizable duo, just like Hrodna and Jin. And to see him included alongside Soul would come as a surprise to absolutely nobody. This man is associated with Guilty Gear almost as much as Soul is, and seeing him paired with Jin would be a dream come true as well. If any franchise is going to have more than one guest character in, it'll be Guilty Gear, and those two will be Soul and Kai. Next, we have Elphelt Valentine, preference 5, potential 1. This is probably the least likely character I'm going to mention in this portion of the video to make it in, but I absolutely had to mention her. I voted for Elphelt on the Cross Tag survey, and you could take this to the bank. She is my favorite character in any fighting game franchise to date, period. But I'm not listing her just for that. She's probably the most important character in Xrd story who isn't Soul or Kai. Heck, the entirety of Revelator is about saving her. She's very Tsubaki-ish in that sense, but realistically, she has no existing sprites as she came into Guilty Gear after the era of transitioning to 3D models, and she's a stretch for me to include even as a possibility on this list, but I had to. I love this character that much. Next, we got Joker, or Akira, from Persona 5. Preference 5, potential 2. Everyone strikes down the possibility of Persona 5 characters being in Cross Tag Battle real fast, and I'm usually one to agree with them. But the fact that people are begging for this character to be included, like, aside, not considering that, I think Arc System Works has a potential reason to include Joker on the basis that he could be used to promote a Persona 5 arena they have in the making. Mind you, however, that this is the only way this character could make it into the game, and if he does, he will be a DLC character not made available until months, or maybe even a year or two after Cross Tag Battle's release. Honestly, this character may not even be made into Cross Tag DLC until after Persona 5 Arena comes out, but once Persona 5 Arena does come out, Joker being a DLC character is a real possibility. Don't hold your breath though, because one thing that is certain is that this character ain't coming anywhere near Cross Tag Battle until after his sprites are finished for Persona 5 Arena, which again is going to be a while. Next we got I Know Heart from Arcana Heart, preference 5, potential 2. Not many people know about Arcana Heart actually. I think it's Arc System Works' least popular fighting game franchise out of all of them. For those of you who don't know, Arcana Heart is an Arc System Works fighting game featuring an all-girl cast, and I know here, her Heart as she is referred to mostly, yeah, it's Japanese, we refer to people by their last names, is the main character. And the character, coincidentally, that I used during the very short time that I spent with the game. Besides Guilty Gear, I think that Arcana Heart is Arc System Works' only fighting game franchise that is currently out that is not featured in Cross Tag. But I don't know the company's history to a T, so I'm not willing to say that that is a certain fact. Anyway, Heart's inclusion is not a far stretch. Honestly, after Guilty Gear, I think this franchise is the second on the list to receive a guest character. Honestly, Heart feels as though she was made for Tag Battle. Arcana Heart only uses 3 buttons, so converting her into the system would be easier than it would be for any other character in this game, and that's not an exaggeration. I'd love to see Heart in this game, even if her playstyle is rather standard. And if Heart is included in this game, it's not a stretch to say that, what's that girl with the white hair in Arcana Heart? Hold on. YB, I believe, is her name. If Heart makes it in, there's a chance that YB can make it in. This character is like a, this is not on my script, but this character is like a 3 for preference, maybe even a 2 for preference, and a 1 for potential. And the only reason I'm bringing up this character is because this is a game focused on pairs. And, like, if they put in our, like, heart, it's very possible they're gonna give her, like, a partner in this game from her franchise to pair her with. And, I think that would be YB, not Scarlet, or whatever the heck her name is. And, if I Know Heart comes in, it's possible YB could come in as well. What can I say? The more franchises I see represented in this game, the better. That is, with one exception. Goku. But preference 0. Potential 1. I do not want this to happen. Please. If I see Goku in this game, I'm gonna punch a hole through my wall. But Arc System Works does have a connection to Dragon Ball now, so it's possible. But thankfully, unlikely, as Dragon Ball Z Fighters is going to be a game utilizing 3D models like Guilty Gear Xrd, so unlike Heart and YB, who I forgot to mention also already have their sprites made and ready, they'd have to create brand new sprites for Goku, which I don't think they do for a mere guest character, and not for one of the 4 main, for a guest character not for one of the 4 main franchises. Still, the possibility haunts my dreams to this very day, every night. And since I touched upon Heart and her potential to include YB as a potential partner, we all know that Vegeta would be included as Goku's partner if Goku was put in this game. Vegeta is also a 0 for preference and a 1 for potential as well. In fact, yeah, a 1 for potential as well. And he would be included just to give Goku a tag partner that makes sense in this tag game. But again, I really hope that it doesn't happen. And finally, I want to talk about the possibility of original characters. This is not on my script, but this is a 2 for both preference and potential. There is a possibility that there will be a character or 2 who is invented for the Cross Tag Battle story. Let's be honest, this is an Arc System Works game, it's going to have a story. Mori's already confirmed this. So there is a chance that there would be an original character for Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. It's possible. Like, this wouldn't be the first time that this has happened. I think that in Marvel Infinite there was some character invented as a combination of, like, a character from Mega Man and something else. Like, but I don't know. I really don't know. I mainly just wanted to make this point to throw this possibility out there. I don't have any really solid thoughts on this, as a new original character could be any of 15,000 things. But I just wanted to mention it, and that it is also a possibility for original characters. Well, that was a lot, but there you go. My entire roster prediction analysis, as well as my own personal opinion for Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. This is the first video I've done in years that I've used a script for, and a lot of effort went into it, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, who you want to be in the game, and if you think I got any of my characters' potential ratings inaccurate, and for what reason. Anyway, this Friday, the 17th of November, 2017, we're going to be getting our next character reveal trailer in the Arcnama stream super early in the morning. It's going to be like Hakumen, Yukiko, Carmen, and Blake. 3 of those 4 if I had to guess. So let's all look forward to that. Leave me some thoughtful comments below, and until next time, when I'm reacting to that trailer, I may just stay up all night watching the stream until I get to see it. This is Razzle48 saying goodbye, and I will see you next time.